We often don't realize that we are the key to our own happiness, and that happiness starts with healing and transformation. Whether you need healing, guidance, clarity, understanding, or just some honest sister talk to feel connected, heard, and supported, you are welcome and safe here. So join the conversation and be healed. Welcome to Soul Healing Conversations with your host, Roz Kincaid.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Soul Healing Conversations. I'm your host, Roz Kincaid, certified spiritual life coach, intuitive transformational coach, and intuitive healer. And this episode is going to be the first part of a two-part series on intuition. I get a lot of DMs and questions about intuition, what things mean, why things are happening. And I want to take some time to give you some information and insight to help empower you to connect with and make use of your own intuition, because we all have it. And you're going to hear me say that a lot in this episode. We all have it. So, just real quick, I want to remind you that our next Soul Expansion Soundboard live stream with my co-host Julian Crossan Hill is coming up on Friday, December 16th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We've been talking a lot about a lot of juicy topics, and we've even done a couple of giveaways. The soundboard is where you get to ask us questions and make comments and engage with us. And if you can't join us live, you can always catch the replays on my YouTube channel and on my Facebook page. So make sure you're subscribing to those. Also, I have some space available for my empowerment private coaching program. Listen, y'all, this program is the most intimate container I have to support you in whatever you need. This is for you if you're ready to go deeper, get a deeper level of self-awareness, if you need support pushing past any kind of resistance to creating positive change for yourself, and to show up confidently in who you are without all this guilt, shame, and self doubt, and all of this other BS that's kind of sitting on top of the real us. So, if you've been feeling the nudge to work with me one on one, listen, this is the time to do it. This is where we go under the surface to uproot and heal any and everything that's in your way of all the greatness that you want to experience in your life. Things like peace and balance, satisfaction, pleasure, joy, whatever the case may be. But it all starts with the clarity and alignment call. And then we move into a deep dive session where we take an honest inventory of what's out of order, what's hurting you, or what's giving you a problem, and what's trying to get your attention. And then we move into coaching and mentoring to deal with those things, to get wisdom from those things, and learn some tools to set things in order so that you can start making aligned decisions that allow you to experience goodness, all that goodness you said you wanted, so that you can experience that. So if any of that feels true for you, then I invite you to apply to join me, or you can message me with any questions. Check out the links in the show description if you're interested. Again, I do have some space available. Okay, so let's get into this conversation around intuition. And I always like to start off with the definition because it just gives a nice little foundation to what we're talking about, and everybody's on the same level understanding. So Merriam-Webster defines intuition as the power or the faculty of attaining direct knowledge or cognition without evident rational thought or interference. Your intuition is the ability given to you by source energy to instinctively know with your mind, your body, and your soul and your energy what's true or false, right or wrong, or aligned or misaligned. It's that feeling that you get in your body when something feels right and you don't know how to explain it. Intuition is that feeling in your body that something's off. Like you got a gut feeling that something ain't right, and usually it's not right. Intuition can also be picking up on somebody else's thoughts or feelings. It can also be hearing sounds, seeing synchronicity, seeing signs and symbols that direct you in a certain way. It's all intuition, y'all, and we all have it. Like God didn't just pick me or somebody else out in the world to be messengers of his, exclusively his, or God didn't just, pick and choose who he gave intuition to. He gave it to everybody because we all have the essence of source living within us in our soul. And we all have characteristics that are God or God-like. And so that means that we also can have this special knowing or this psychic ability and this feeling that, things are happening, but we just don't know. We hear things and it's not there. We all have it and it's not spooky. Like, that's the first thing. Let's normalize psychic abilities in everybody because we all do have it. And it's been socialized out of us or scared out of us some way, or it's been batted down and made to make us believe that it's a bad thing to have dreams that come true or a foretelling of something that's happening. Like, all of these things are here to support us, and our psychic abilities and our intuitive abilities are what can lead us to the life that we want to live and help us to make strategic moves and align decisions that get us to the experience that we want to have in life. So again, we all have intuition. We all have psychic ability. No one is greater than the other. Source energy, again, just didn't wake up one day and pick and choose who was worthy or deserving enough to have intuition that says, you guys have it and you guys don't. That's not how it works. Source is all knowing and gives us all part of its characteristics, which we know is intuition. Nobody got cheated out of intuition. Nobody got looked over. You didn't get overlooked in the intuition department, okay? You got it too. But the argument comes when we start to examine the development of our intuition. Like, some of us have more developed intuition than others, and that's okay. And intuition is how we as humans have even survived on this planet. I mean, we all know when danger is present. We all know when something is not right in front of us. You know when something ain't right. You know. But what happens is the subconscious mind shuts down our intuition to protect us. And then you end up having this, some of us do, having this late adult onset of our gifts reopening, but you're still scared, but you're curious too. So we've been told, if you've been told in childhood, like, if you have an imaginary friend, that's been denied for some people, or some people have been told, that doesn't exist, or ghosts don't exist, or spirits don't exist, or whatever the case may be. I know for me, there's been religious conditioning around intuition, like the pastors and the prophets can see and hear from God and preach it from the pulpits, but I can't. Like, what makes the pastor or the prophet different from me? Like, when I remember when I was discovering, like, I was one of those people who had the late adult onset of my gifts opening up. It wasn't until I was turning 40 and pregnant with my daughter that my gifts started to open up, and I really didn't know what to do with it, because all this time I had been told that soothsayers and psychics and mediums were, the work of the devil. But it's like, but when I looked further into it, it's like, well, the pastor's doing the same thing. He hears from God and he's standing up every Sunday and Wednesday, and sometimes during revival, giving messages to the congregation. Like, what is the difference between that and me receiving information in my knowing, in my eyesight, in my hearing, and even right now my ears are ringing, which is my symbol that I'm hitting a point here and I'm on track with what I'm doing, and it just got louder. Just now, I wish y'all could hear what I'm hearing. But what is the difference between the pastor and me, and I'm receiving similar or the same information as he is, but I'm wrong? Like, something about that just didn't feel right to me, that only the pastor could be able to hear from God, but yet the pastor is telling me you need to get closer to God and hear from God from yourself for yourself. Like, well, how do I do that without using these abilities and this natural gifting that we all have? Like, I can't understand. Like, it's an argument that I will continue to have probably until the day that I leave my body. And even when I get on the other side, I'm going to be asking, like, what's up with that? Why is it that why can't I receive information from God, or why can't you receive information from source and it be called the devil's work, but when the pastor does it, he doing God's work? Like, that just don't that ain't right to me. Something's wrong with that. And so many of us, and this not just me, many of us have been conditioned through our religious beliefs or our religious practices that having psychic abilities or intuition is it's forbidden, and it's not forbidden. Like, there is light and dark in the world, there is light and contrast in the world, and to be able to recognize that and to see that throughout the world and throughout your life, that's a precious gift to have. Because do you know that if you could leverage that ability and 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 optimize that ability, would you be in some of the situations that you were in the past or that you're in now? If you could rely on your knowing, if you could rely on your hearing, if you could rely on what you're feeling in your body, your gut, what you're seeing from your third eye, do you do how would your life be different if you leaned into your intuition, if you leaned into that little nudge or that inkling or that niggling that's telling you, don't fuck with that person, or don't do that? Or even if you could kind of read into your own behaviors, how could that be change your life? How could your life be different? How would how would that change your level of awareness and wisdom for your own life? Right? Like, tuition is for you. It really is for you. It's God leading you. It's source energy working through you. That is the spirituality of intuition. Our intuition is our spiritual intelligence. It's how we know and don't know. It's, how we can allow ourselves to be guided. It's allowing source energy to spill into us and to speak to us and speak through us, not just for ourselves, but to speak through us to someone else, to give information. It's a way to connect as well. I've had many experiences where, I've thought of somebody and then they ring my phone, or then they sending me a text, or my husband and I have been kind of like thinking the same thing. I'll verbalize it, and he was like, I was thinking the same thing. It's intuition. It can be a way to connect with each other and a way to relate to each other if we just open up to it. And I understand that some people have had bad experiences with developing their spiritual gifts, or maybe you were that kid who saw the what people call the top hat man. The figure, the black figure that looks like he's wearing a top hat and sometimes he has the red eyes. Like, I know that that's scary. It was scary for me when I started seeing images and stuff pass before my eyes, and I'm like, what is going on? But as you allow your curiosity to open up a little bit more about that, you will understand that not everything that's a shadow is bad. Not everything that you receive spiritually or intuitively is bad. Not every, in psychic tool or intuitive tool is bad. Like, we got to stop taking things at face value and stop believing things just because somebody says it. Like, at this point in life, you're an adult, you're evolved enough to go do your own research and go and connect and get the answers for yourself. Like, we got to become a little bit more independent about the information that we receive, and do some fact checking or do some spiritual checking about, where we're being led, and check in with ourselves. Because, like, nobody is an authority on you. And I'm kind of like getting a little off topic, but nobody is an authority on you. Even the pastor, even a preacher, nobody can, dictate to you the connection that you have with God. And if God wants to give you eyesight for the day that can see things that aren't there in 3D, well then by God, take it. Take it and use it for your benefit. So let me talk a little bit about the science behind intuition. So scientists have discovered that humans have two very different operating systems. So you, on one hand, you have a system that is quick, instinctual, and often a subconscious way of operating. It's controlled by our right brain and by parts of our brain that have been around since the prehistoric times. And that system is also known as the limbic system, or the reptilian part of our brain. That part is the part that involves our behaviors, it involves our emotions. That's the part that's associated with feminine energy, which is our left side of our body. So right brain, left side, behaviors, emotions, feminine system. That's system 1, right? System 2 is our slower, more analytical, more thoughtful, conscious way of operating, and that is controlled by our left brain and by the newer parts of our brain that have only developed since prehistoric time, and that's known as the neocortex operating system, or the neocortex part of our brain. And so that left brain is dominating or controlling our masculine side. Like, listen, we all have masculine and feminine energy, okay? Get over it. But our right brain is controlling our right side, our masculine, our drive, our striving, our analytical part of us. And so researchers have found that our intuition is part of that first system, that feminine system, that behavioral emotional system, which is why it comes so quickly and often doesn't make a lot of sense to us. It's been here for a long time, it's well developed, it's going to be quick, it's going to be rapid. So in other words, our intuitive decisions aren't something that we have to think out clearly with reason. Like, it ain't going to make sense. Okay. Your intuition is not going to make sense to the logical side of you. That's why it's quick. That's why it's instinctive. It's just on automatic. It happens automatically. So, again, intuitive decisions are not something that we have thought out carefully with reason, but rather intuitive decisions are ones that are choices that come up quick, just out of instinct, not so much knee jerk, but they habitually and instinctively come up to us because it's part of who we are, right? So scientifically, we're made that way. We operate with two systems: a feminine system that's quick, instinctive, connected to our behaviors and emotions, and our other system, which is more analytical and conscious and more reason based. But our intuition is going to be that is going to be right there. It's going to be quick. I think in human design, our intuition it lives in the spleen, I believe. So if you're into human design, I would check that out and see if you even have that center defined or open or undefined, because that's going to determine how you receive intuitive information, whether it's consistently or inconsistently or sporadically. So check it out. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about some of the things that block our intuition. First one is fear. Now, I can recall when I was first developing my own intuition and practicing intuition, I was afraid. I was afraid, one, is this even right? What are people going to think? Like, the human side of me wanted to stay small and didn't want to use this information, or didn't want to use this gift because of fear of mainly what my family would say. And because I was raised in a religious home, my parents went to church. My grandparents were members of the church, even founders of our church and our community, and very involved in the church community. And again, here's that, religious conditioning that, if you're doing psychic work and, looking at crystal balls and, turning over tarot cards and going to see a psychic, that's the devil's work. So there was that fear already instilled in me that I was going down a path that was very different from what I was taught. And I was afraid that honestly, if my family knew that I would be, disowned or cast away or, judged or criticized or anything like that. And not only just the fear of judgment and criticism, but like, what if I'm wrong? What if what I'm seeing and what if what I'm feeling, or what if what I think I know or what's downloading in me ain't right? Like I'm scared to share this with somebody because the message might not be right. Listen, let me tell you this. The intuitive information that you get from spirit is never wrong. That information is always going to be right. What can have inconsistencies and inaccuracies is how we as humans interpret that information, because again, we are the messengers. We are the receiver of information when it comes to intuition and psychic abilities, and we are the messengers. And if we are not careful to interpret properly what that information is, it can get us off track. We can give somebody the wrong information, or if we don't do our due diligence to identify where this information is coming and to clearly kind of sort out, what does this mean, what do these symbols mean, we can, yes, definitely misinterpret that information, and it can go left. Like, you know it can go left. All right, I'm gonna just leave it at that. So you have to be very careful that you are, I guess, investing the care and time into understanding what information is coming to you and coming through you. And I'm not just talking about giving messages or doing readings for people. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the information that you receive for yourself, or information that you are being led to share with somebody else. Like, that whole fear piece can really affect the the interpretation and the accuracy with which you receive the information. The other thing that can block our intuition is acting like you don't have it. Just out here being all unaware. Like, it doesn't exist. Like, you can act like you don't have intuition and psychic abilities all you want, but it's not acting like it don't know you. So wake up, know that you have it, and it's there for your use. Like, you have to start, gone are the days where we can look at the news and take it at face value. There's a lot that can be gained from checking in with yourself and seeing how you feel about a thing, or waiting for answers and noticing what's going on around you and what's going on within you, and just having awareness that although somebody is saying one thing, you're getting different information on the inside that's contrary to what they're saying. It's a way to sniff out what's true and what's not true, and sniff out what's a lie and what's the truth. Speaking of truth and trust, distrust can also affect or block your intuition. Not trusting source, not trusting that the information that you're getting is from a reliable source. And this comes down to really, your connection with source, your connection with your guides, your connection with the angels, your connection with all knowing spirit, God, whatever you call it. And it comes down to, well, who are you going to trust at the end of the day? Who are you going to trust? Like, are you going to trust a politician? Are you going to trust he said, she said, running through, are you going to trust information that you get, from playing telephone? Like, there comes a time where you have to, like, ground yourself and make a decision that I am going to trust God, source, the universe, no matter what, and that this information that's coming to me is truth. I can trust it. It's reliable information because it's coming from a reliable source. Now that's work that you're gonna have to do on your own and get close to source and God yourself and have that trusting close relationship with source to be able to know, like, beyond a shadow of a doubt, I know that this is true. And if that information changes, I know that it has course corrected or changed to benefit me in my best interest. So not trusting is definitely a block to our intuition. So how do we tap into our intuition? Well, my teacher taught me, and she was very heavily pushing us that meditation is the vehicle to connect to source and to open our third eye, which is right here above and between the brows, where the energy of intuition lives. It means I see the third eye and the crown. I see, I know. And when you go in, what you're doing when you go into a meditative state is that you are calming the mind, you're quieting the mind, you're allowing the mind to quiet, and you are allowing your energy to open up and to connect and kind of expand and connect with source energy that is all around you. Now, for me, when I do this, I often feel like a tingling sensation either around my crown. It's almost like I can feel my head opening up, the energy in my head opening up, or I will get a sense of like a wave of chills when I'm like deeply connected in my meditation. So I'm not charging you to, like, if you don't have a meditation practice, I'm not saying jump big and, do a full 180. Like, start small. Just start learning how to open up your energy. Start learning how to open and close your energy. Start sitting in meditation to quiet your mind. And I understand for some people, like, sitting in dead silence ain't the way. Like, that ain't gonna work for some of y'all. Put on some little Reiki music, or go to YouTube Music and download you some nice little soft nature sounds, or whatever music sounds good for you. I would not play music that has lyrics or words to it, because that can be a distraction to your mind and it will kind of take you off track. But allow your energy to open and close, see what that feels like, and then allow whatever visions that come into your mind, allow any sensations to come up, and just kind of get comfortable with being in a meditative state and feeling what it feels like to connect with an energy that's bigger and brighter than yours. Okay. Another way that we can tap into our intuition is learning what your intuitive yes and no is, learning what that feels like in your body, learning what a no feels like in the pit of your stomach or in your chest, or just even knowing where that feeling is in your body. And what you can do is ask yourself a question, a yes or no question that you know is absolutely yes or absolutely true, and just see where in your body that yes or no comes up in your body. For some, it might be in the jaw. For some, it might be in the chest. For some, it might be in the gut. For some, the yes might be an expansive feeling or a contracted feeling or an uneasiness. Oftentimes, if something is a no for me, I'll get this uneasy feeling and I can't explain it. It's like, I don't know why, but it's a no for me, dog. So learning, practicing what your intuitive yes is and what your intuitive no is. Also, I've said this already a little bit, is starting small with practicing your intuition. If you see things in your dream, keep a dream journal. If you start to notice synchronicities through numbers, through feathers, through coins, whatever the case may be, start recording that and start keeping a log of things that are coming to you, messages that you're getting, things that people say or things that you hear repeatedly. That's usually a message that's trying to come through. But don't try to go too big with this, y'all. Don't listen. Don't try to go too big with this, because then you're going to spook yourself and then you're going to get all discouraged and you're going to be like, Ross said. No, Ross didn't. Start small, okay? Start small and playing around with your intuition. If you've lost an item, try to visualize or be led by your vision of where that item might be. Like, you can have a little bit of fun with this stuff too. Also, healing and clearing your energy. To receive intuitive information, or for your intuition to be as sharp as possible, you have got to clear. You have got to clear what does not serve you. You have got to clear what does not feel good. You have got to heal what is unhealed in you so that you can be a clear conduit to receive, a clear conduit to hold that information, a clear conduit so that the signal that is within your energy is crisp and clear as possible so that you can get the most clear information coming back to you. Heal your shit. Clear out what doesn't serve you anymore. Let it go. So, lastly, I want to talk about why it's important to rely on your intuition right now. It's all it's always been important to rely on your intuition, right? Because even through our childhood, we've been conditioned with our beliefs. We've been conditioned with the stories and narratives that we run. And it's very important for us to distinguish what narratives are ours and what narratives have been imposed upon us from somebody else. And we got to get really clear on who's speaking and whose voice is speaking to us. Like, the world is super confusing. It's a difficult time. And especially with us being in a post-COVID era where we're trying to rebuild, there's so much going on with war and violence and like political upheaval, and Kanye out here acting crazy and people doing all kind of crazy stuff. People going into schools and shooting and killing teachers and kids and all this kind of stuff. So while the dust is settling, we still don't have a level of clarity to know what to make of life right now. Like, there's still a lot of things that are uncertain and unclear. And so what's left? Your internal GPS. This is why it's so important for you to be connected to whatever you consider source energy so that you can know when to pivot, so that you can have some insight into what might be coming ahead or what your body is feeling before the event even happens. It's a way for you to be empowered and a way for you to be self-guided according to your connection to God, spirit, universe. And then learning to read all of the input from the world means balancing logic and reason with energy and emotion held within the stillness at our core. And as we struggle to make decisions about our lives in these confusing and still difficult times, it is more important than ever to listen and nurture these vital instincts so that you can make aligned decisions, so that you can take control back over your life, so that you aren't moved by every little thought or fear or thing that flashes on TV, or even the murmur of a recession doesn't move you. Like, it creates this level of security and safety within us when we have something bigger than us that we can trust that is going to hold us. That's why it's important, even more so now than it has been before, to build up your intuition. Like, nobody wants to get duped, okay? and using your gut instincts and intuition, and that quicker system of operating in your body scientifically is going to help with that. And that's important. Like, we got to smarten up, we got to wisen up, and and stop falling for the okie doke. Okay. All right, y'all. That's it for today. That's all I have for you. So in the next episode, I'm gonna do an unpack of the intuitive gates or clairs, in which we receive information and energy. So make sure you check out the next episode. Share this with somebody who you think might benefit from it, who you think might need to tap into their intuition, or just play it back for your own self if you need some pointers or some tips. I've said it before, I'm gonna say it again. Intuition is real. Everybody has it, and your life will be better off if you listen to your intuition and follow it. Like, just because it doesn't seem like it's working for you doesn't mean you don't have it. Maybe it just needs to be developed. Listen, I'm starting to feel a little bit inspired in this moment to create something to support you with your intuition. So listen, if you want to develop and discover your intuition and use it to help guide yourself and navigate your own life, do me a favor. Go visit my website, and I'm going to put up a form there where you can join an interest list. I want to see if there's any interest in people in my audience developing or in their own intuition. Go there and join that list, join that interest list. Or you can shoot me an email at hello@rozkincaid.com, or you can direct message me at Facebook or Instagram at Soul Healing with Roz, and let me know if you would have any interest in developing your intuition with me. Once you join that list, I'm going to give you some things to help you get started with opening up and developing your intuition until we kind of like figure out where we're going with this and if there's any interest. Or if you want to do this with me one-on-one, I'm open to that if you're open to that. So again, let me know if you're interested in doing something like this, because I'm kind of feeling inspired to offer something like this for my tribe. So again, don't forget to check out the information in the show description of all my offerings and ways to connect with me. I would love nothing more to have the chance to work with you in whatever capacity you feel is right for you. Thanks again for listening. Thanks or watching. And go with your first instinct. It's usually right. And if it's wrong, okay, then go with the next instinct. I'll talk to you next time. Bye. Hey, and thanks so much for hanging in there with me all the way to the end of the podcast. I hope you got lots of value from today's episode and feel more empowered and more inspired than you did before. If you enjoyed this episode as much as I did doing it, then share it with somebody that might resonate with it. Also, I would really appreciate it if you could leave me a 5-star review to help me get the word out about the show. And if at any point you have questions or topics you want me to riff about, as you can see, I like to talk, then I invite you to get on my social media platforms and just message me. And if you're feeling the nudge to work with me, then check out my offerings on my website. Everything you need to connect with me is in the show notes. So until next time, be empowered.